Are we approaching Russia correctly, if that's the correct word, the appropriate word?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think we're waking up to the Russian threat. Russia has been massively increasing its military capacity in the Arctic, and that also the ability to enter the North Atlantic from Russia. And they've been increasing that military capability really for more than the last decade. Earlier this year, President Putin announced yet more troops to go into the Arctic theater, the Northern Fleet at Murmansk, the 14th Army. You know, these are all big Russian capabilities. And I think we need to wake up to the fact in Europe and in North America that the Russian threat in the North Atlantic is a very real one.
And apparently President Trump has helped in a way to instill that sense of urgency. But what should European nations be doing right now?
I think right now, European nations should be putting more into defense, should be cooperating better, recognizing that, you know, the important European countries in the North Atlantic theater will be principally the UK, will be Norway, will be Germany, potentially France, the Netherlands, and others. And I think we all need to be making sure that we have a stronger defense and better coordination. We are doing a lot of military exercises at the moment, but the crucial thing is to be ready for anything that Russia might throw at us. We know that Russia are taking a keen interest in our offshore energy assets, so oil and gas in the North Sea between Britain and Norway, offshore wind as well. We know they're interested in cabling, interconnectors, internet cabling. Recently, the Russian ship, the Yantar, did a whole tour of these facilities, reconnaissance facilities, in the North Sea, the English Channel, the Irish Sea. So there's a very keen interest from Russia, and it's unlikely to be a friendly interest from Russia in these facilities. So we need to wake up to this fact more, continue boosting our defenses and making sure that we're ready.
And President Putin has throughout the years shown a certain pattern of behavior. Are you surprised that Europe did not wake up in time, even prior to the invasion of Ukraine?
Well, I think, it's always difficult for governments where, I was previously the UK's budget minister, and it's always difficult for governments when you've got a lot of competing interests that want to have money spent on them, defense being one of them. But, now is not too late to wake up now. We need to make sure the UK, for example, is slowly increasing its amount spent on defense from 2.3% to 3.5% over the next decade. This is a GDP. We need to be focusing on getting the right equipment in place, more P-8 patrol aircraft, more destroyers, more frigates, definitely more drone capability, more ability to defend our subsea cabling and these important energy infrastructure facilities. That's what we should be focused on.
Looking to the other side of the world, let's talk about the transatlantic relationship, Washington, Brussels, the European countries. How do you define the current moment?
Well, I think it's a very difficult time. I think Europe has been confused by Donald Trump's approach to security and NATO, and confused by his approach to trade, unpredictable. So I think Europe is having a difficult time of it at the moment, understanding what Trump really wants. I think has been one of the difficulties in the first place. We've seen a calibrated response from both the UK and the EU. Both have done an agreement with Trump to try and avoid tariffs, and not 100% successfully. Tariffs are in place already on steel and aluminium. But it's very important, the 10% of global sea trade goes across the North Atlantic. The United States is the UK's single largest bilateral trading partner and the EU's single largest bilateral trading partner. So there's a really important trade route as well between Europe and the United States, and also important trade between Europe and Canada and Europe and Mexico as well.
Absolutely. But let me just go back to the moment where President Ursula von der Leyen met with President Trump, announcing that there was an agreement amongst these two blocs. And the feeling within the European Union was, what did they negotiate? Are we, this business sector or this business community, are we represented? And those were the doubts that were left on the table.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, there was some confusion. And I think any negotiation with the United States at the moment always leaves a certain element of confusion, what was actually agreed. And the tariffs is quite complicated because people talk about a percentage tariff, but is that on top of the existing tariff? There's quite a few questions about tariffs that are not always being properly answered. So I think there is confusion about what the UK has agreed with the US and what the EU has agreed with the US. I think the UK thought that it had an exemption, steel and aluminium tariffs, and I think that's turned out not to be the case. So I think it's very difficult at the moment, and governments like predictability, businesses like predictability. You're not going to export if you don't know what the tariff is going to be. You've got to put that into your business calculation. So I think the US is making things very difficult at the moment for transatlantic trade.
Greg Hans, former British MP and Minister of State for Trade Policy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good one, sir.